Hello all. Okay, so here now I'm at Lathalmond Bus Museum in Fife. It's the Sunday the 17th of April, sorry it's start again, Sunday the 17th of August 2025. So it's the biggest, or one of the biggest kind of like live transport museums in Scotland. The Lathalmond Bus Weekend opening day, or open weekend. There's loads of vintage buses from all over the country that turn up to these things, and they do free shuttle services from Dunfermline to the museum, and you would get that there at just opposite the control room. They also have a free internal bus service as well, and it's voluntary work. Voluntary is, you know, the vehicles they do their they just volunteer to sign their vehicles up for it. So you could get a shot on a really old bus, or you could get a shot on a really modern bus, you know, just whoever wants to volunteer. So yeah, they've got that. Then you've got all the stalls as well, where you've got like lots of second-hand stuff, bits and pieces, souvenirs. Then you've got some models, they sell models, sell bits and pieces for buses, wipers, lights, chrome headlights, just miscellaneous stuff. So you've got that, and you've got the engineer's workshop where you can have a look at some of the buses that are under restoration as well. So there's quite a lot of things here at Lathalmond Bus Museum. Lathalmond's not far from Dunfermline, it's about 4 or 5 miles north of Dunfermline, in Fife in Scotland. So what I'm going to do anyway is just take some random footage and photographs of the buses that are here, and I'll share it with you. I'll also record some footage of travelling on some of them as well, give you a sound sample so you get to hear the engines on them as well. So they hold these events usually the 2nd or 3rd, middle of August usually every year, the weekends in August. So you just check online for it, but it's usually the 2nd or 3rd weekend in August they have these the Lathalmond public bus opening day events. So this is the control board, tells you the type of buses that are going to be going out and what time they're going out as well. And they do have a Forth Road Bridge tour, which is free to go on. And this is the 30th anniversary as well of the Bus Museum. So yeah, it's forgot to mention it's actually the 30th anniversary of the Lathalmond Bus Museum, 1995 to 2025. So I've been going to probably the best part of that actually. I think I started coming here in 97, or was it 99? It was certainly pre-millennium anyway. I've been going to them ever since, more or less every year ever since. So, and in the workshop, one of them, there's a few of the workshops round about the site. It's an old military site for Maybach, and the hangars and that are used for the storage and repairs of the buses. Maybe it's something to do with the Air Force or something, I'm not sure. It's an old site anyway, but they've used it. There's a few acres of land that's belonging to, and there's these warehouses all around it. Some of the warehouses are allowed in, like this one, where you can see the buses that are under various stages of restoration. Some of them are storage sheds. The one up on the hill there, that's the stall sheds. So you can get, like, you know, model buses and all sorts of bric-a-brac, second-hand stuff and new stuff as well. Also uniforms, badges, stuff like that, you know, souvenirs, cups with names and photos of buses on them and stuff. Souvenirs, kind of gifty kind of things. So miscellaneous stuff. So as I say, this is the one of the workshops that you're allowed to go in to have a look around to see the various components in that, and buses in various different stages of restoration. So it's Scottish Vintage Bus Museum at Lathalmond, and it's their 30th anniversary. This year's the 30th. So it's been quite a long weekend for me actually. I was here yesterday as well, and had to be up at the, because I came through on a vintage bus, Mark II Volvo Elsa, and from where we set off I had to be there at 6:30 this morning, so I'm a wee bit tired. And yesterday was the same, I was up early for that too. So it'll be quite 2 big long days, so I'm a wee bit sleepy. But the weather's lovely, and I'm going to have a good time here. I'm going to enjoy it, and as I say, I'll share the footage and some of the footage and photos with you as well. So you can stay here for quite a lot of time. You've got food stances, and there's public toilets all over this, well, dotted around the site as well. So it usually sort of kicks off at 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, people come in at any time, but once the announcers start to go and the buses start going out to Dunfermline, it's usually around about 10. So we got in early, it's like 9:30 just now. That gives me a chance to get a look around while it's fairly quiet, get some good photo shots and that, because it does get quite busy after that later on. So. And this is a Volvo Elsa Mark II 276 with the voice transmission. It's very unusual sounding. I like that one, it's very unique. The one next to it's a Volvo Elsa Mark 1.5. I remember them very well indeed. I grew up with these buses, so they're a very important part of my history. So up there, that's the stall shed. That's where you got all your, like, your models and badges and books as well. I'll have a wee look up that way and show you what's in there later on. It's an electric right street deck, just pulling in. Fully electric EV. Volvo B10M chassis, this one, city bus I think. I'm not familiar with this one. I'm familiar with the Volvo B10M, but this particular bus I'm not familiar with it. It's quite a tidy machine, but it is a Volvo B10M city bus with an Alexander bodywork, Oyster bus. So visitors could turn up by their own means as well. There's car parking and that, and you could camp over here as well if you want. So, as I say, I came through on the vintage bus, the Volvo Elsa Mark II open topper. So there's our open topper bus. I think they're moving it from where they were parked to somewhere else. Yeah, they're just parking it in a different place. That's the bus I came through on, the white open top Volvo Elsa Mark II X Dayside bus. I remember that one very well. Grew up with them in the 80s. So, pan the camera around here and show you what's doing. It gets busier once it's after 10 o'clock. It's before 10, so this is probably the quietest time to get pictures and that before it really gets quite busy with loads of people getting their photos and that.
The back axle, the gearbox and things, it was based in a modified.
So it's the so I came through on. Driven that one a few times. Good going bus to drive. Fire engine, scan this. Scan your fire engine just coming in. So this is the Chinese bus coming in, it's a Lathalmond Victor. Voith transmission. And it's a Lathalmond National. I've driven this one as well, actually, with the years ago with the vintage club. Going way back, maybe 10 years ago, I was doing the free services, the free shuttle service from the Bridge of Dun to Montrose for the Caledonian Railway, and that was one of the ones I used on one of the occasions. Semi-automatic gearbox on it as well at Lathalmond. So this one that's moving now, it's a Volvo, I think. Volvo Olympian. Dublin bus. So I was just parking that one, it's Volvo Olympia. So yeah, just wanted to sample some of the sound of the Volvo. It's a 9.6 litre turbo intercooled engine, I think, on that one. It's a rear mounted transverse rear mount with a ZF gearbox, I think. So, some breakdown wreckers, breakdown trucks. Wreckers is the term they call them, short for recovery. They just nickname them wreckers. So, vintage ones behind me. So yeah, there's a couple of other vintage machines there as well. Oh, there's this exhibition hall as well. I forgot to mention that earlier. There's an exhibition hall where there is some buses and various other stalls and small exhibits and stuff that go on in there. There's a wee cafe as well. This is the kind of centre of the site. Lathalmond Atlantean just turning along there. Sounds absolutely brilliant. Big Lathalmond 680 engine in that. The Lathalmond 680 is about 11 litres in capacity, but it's non-turbocharged. It doesn't have a turbo, it's just aspirated. But they're big and torquey, big deep engine, 11 litres, pretty big capacity. So I'll just wait to show you inside the exhibition hall. So for those that haven't seen the videos before that I've done at Lathalmond, this just gives you a bit of an insight as to what goes on in here. There's miscellaneous things that happen, but this is just on this weekend, this is what's happening. At the moment there's a wee shop there, and there's a wee sort of model stall and just on the back wall there, and a wee in shop in here as well with the 30th anniversary balloons. Just a wee sort of skip round. I'll just quickly go around here and show you. As I say, I was in here yesterday and spent some time. I'm going to show you the inner workings of the rear axle and the gearbox on a bus. So there's the inner working of the rear axle, differential gearbox in the centre, brake chamber there, and hub and brake drums. On a bus, yeah. Yeah, well, we've got quite a few to choose from. This is the bus chassis, by the way. Engine at the front, vertical mounted, gearbox on the rear of the. It's a straight drive. Prop shaft goes right along the bottom, underside, meets up with the rear axle, but it's disconnected in this instance. Rear axle's here, differential gearbox. And then the rest of the underframe just extends out for the bodywork to be supported by. sight to walk around. Did you do a video for your channel?
Haven't made one today, but I will be if you wanted to say just going over the bridges.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, well, we have to get there early though because it is busy, as we remembered yesterday. The Fourth Road Bridge tours, they had about 4 open top buses and they were packed and we missed out. So we're going to get there early this time and try and get on. So this is the inner workings of the transmission automatic. So I was having a good look at this yesterday. I've seen this exhibit before, it's very interesting. It's so complex you can always learn something new every time you see it because there's so many bits to get your head round. This is the engine, 4-cylinder. Normally engines are 6-cylinder for buses these days. But this is a 4-cylinder, although saying that it's actually going back in time now. They're downsizing some of the modern engines are 4-cylinders, but they're coupled up with an electric motor. They're hybrids, and the engine's merely a generator, or it's supplemented with an electric motor if it's a parallel, or a series hybrid, rather it would be just a generator. But for a parallel hybrid, the engine actually couples up with an electric motor to do the turning. This is the automatic transmission, planetary gears, what's on the brake band system, and these will lock the brake bands onto the planetary gears that are selected automatically. And at the front of the transmission there's a fluid coupling or torque converter in some cases, and that allows for your slippage in the vehicle's stationary and engine's on. Yes, there's a Mark II, the Polis. Yeah, it's based on the Mark II, well that's a Ford Escort Mark II, manual, yep. And then you've got the, so yeah, fluid coupling there is there. So I spent some time looking at these the transmissions and that. Quite ingeniously engineered. There's an actual steamroller, it's steam powered, and it's how we know as a steamroller for flattening the roads. This is actually powered by steam. Where they get the name steamroller. It's a heavy piece of equipment that, well, and that's its purpose, to flatten the road surfaces, smooth them up. So in the traditional sense it is actually a steamroller, as opposed to just the traditional name that's been carried forward. I mean obviously the modern ones now are just diesel powered. So. But there is a mixture of stuff here at the museum that's interesting. So this is the exhibit hall. Right. Men at work.
I put my...
You'd be working in the days, you'd be really working there, hard work back then. You'd be sweating buckets. Yeah. I'd rather. Aye. Yep. Well, I'll zoom in and show you the cab very briefly before I move on. Fashion. Well, that ends now, but there will be a shuttle that comes on at this stops. So you get this as a shuttle bus. Didn't get the front, but I'll get it. So I've done videos of Lathalmond over the years, last few years anyway. The 3-parter. So always good to see what else turns up. So I come every year just to enjoy it. Something new might turn up as well. Just come off of the Lathalmond Lantern. We're going into the stall shed. So it's the warehouse where all the models and stuff are. Oh, I say warehouse, it's like an ex-military hangar or something. It's an ancient, something to do with the war, it's a military site or something. They've converted it into the museum. And there's loads of these hangars around the site. So that's why they've got an internal bus service, because it covers quite a bit of the site.
So what was the numbers there?
Just see what he wants to buy from the stalls.
45-year-old.
So we're back on the shuttle bus again, and the Lathalmond Lantern, and it's in the lower deck this time. So I'm going to get the Leyland Victor, the Hong Kong Leyland Victor bus. It's that blue one. I'm going to get that to Dunfermline, and then I'm going to get the spot of lunch in Dunfermline, and then after that I'll get a vintage bus back to here again. So that's the plan just now. That's going to be leaving at 11 o'clock, so I've got about 10 minutes or so to wait. So that's the bus. I thought it was China Motors, but it's well, maybe it still is. It's had Hong Kong on there, but it's on the running board, but it's definitely a Leyland Victor. I would say it was China Motors if I remember correctly, but that's the one I'm going to be getting anyway to Dunfermline. That's Leyland Atlantic that I just came off with the internal runs. So it's an Eastern Coachworks bodied Bristol VRT chassis. Gardner engine. So he's saying it's got the China motor bus on the thing, but it's got written down Hong Kong bus on the running board. So the engine's at the front, and the front overhang similar to that of the Volvo wheels, like the Volvo wheels buses, but this is a Leyland Victor. Let me tell you, it's pretty cramped in that type of bus. It's very, very cramped. Oh, seats are hard and It's designed to hold over 100 passengers. So it's very cramped arrangement. You've got 3 and 2 seating. You've got 3 rows on one side, 2 on the other. So, but anyway, it's an experience.
that me bus rally though. Aye. And you probably don't just really crack a policy because I'm on a go in. See, I was sitting there now. See, I only looked at yesterday, you said? What?
You watched the presentation yesterday.
So this is a left-hand drive for Volvo B10M. Hopefully get a run on it. We'll just see what happens. It's just going round again, it'll be nice. So I'm hoping to get a wee huddle on this one. It's a left-hand drive Volvo B10M.
Don't like to shut the windows, but if we don't, it'll just be like a wasp nest.
Yeah, it gets really warm. The amount of wasps this year is quite bad, the wasps. Oh, it's even got its own independent cab door as well. Cab door. So it's quite...
Yes, it's.
So that was quite nice, so we changed that. I'll show you the information about that bus. There's an information sheet I could try and show you without it blowing around in the wind, which is going to do now. It wasn't windy a minute ago, typical when I did a film. There we go. So the owner was saying that there's... So, that's that. It was just round there because I'd done the internal. I was lucky to get on it actually because it's parked up for just now. So, it's 12:30, bridge tours at 2. I want to get there early because I don't want to be getting queued out the last time. I'll show you the back of this Volvo as well, just to show you what it looks like at the rear. It's a B register, so that'll be the 981 equivalent. So that's dual door. So we've got that. So that's 276. So zoom into that. Good. That's cool. Nice though. So Lathalmond Bus Museum also runs a small railway, full-size one, and they do like a miniature railway as well, which is just for a single or mono railway. So the big railway's up there. It's just a short short trip. And then you've got this miniature railway which is just goes up there and back basically. That's a locomotive shed. So this is at the top most of Lathalmond Museum. It's furthest away from the entrance. It stretches back quite a bit, and you can tell there's quite a lot of spare sheds. And actually, that miniature railway is a steam thing. I think they changed it from last time. That's the gearbox that I was just looking at there. And there's a prop shaft length from the gearbox, well, from the engine to the gearbox. Engine's at the front, or it was at the front. Obviously no engine in it, just nil. But the two-piece prop shaft there, there's that miniature train. It connects up to the rear axle basically. It's a remote transmission. Mid-mode transmission. So that's the wee miniature steam train. Back to this thing. This is getting, well, the bonnet's opening the Atlantean there. This thing's obviously getting fully restored by the very heavy restoration job required for that one. That's the back of the Leyland Atlantean. I think it's a Leyland 680 engine in that. That's the front of the Atlantean that had the bonnet open. This is a Dennis Dart, I think. It's a shorter one. It's a mini bus, that's it, Dart. Dennis Dart, it's a Leyland National to the right of me. And there's a whole variety of Leyland Atlanteans up ahead. Different ages and different generations of them. And then you've got the really old thing here, backloader. A couple of Leyland, well, I've got Leyland Olympian to the left, that's ECW bodied, and then the Leyland Atlantean, the later one, to the right. Alexander AD bodywork, is it? Something like that's Alexander bodywork anyway. The old backloader is a Leyland something. Before my time. So this is one of the workshop's storage sheds. There's quite a lot of them, and here's the rest of the bodywork on this Leyland Atlantean ECW body. I'll try and zoom it out so you can see the whole lot. So that was part of the Lathalmond Railway section. I don't know how much they're extending it out to. They might extend it further, but it might take them a while. I've seen it being used before and it's not really got any further out. So it maybe take quite a bit of time before they could extend it out further. At least there's a sampler on it if you wanted a shot on the railway. Gives you a wee shot, like a wee sort of sample kind of thing. So I'm just going to wait on the internal bus service coming up from here and get myself back down a bit to the museum. You just get on here basically, free internal buses that are used, vintage ones. Change of mind, I'm going to get that Midland National. It sounds pretty good at the moment. But yeah, I could have got that one, but I'm going to get that one. I was just waiting, it's just waiting on the bus to move, and then I'll get on the National, which is drawn up now. Just on this one. Like I say, I've driven this one before when it was doing the Bridgeton to Montrose free bus service with Caledonia Railway. It was about 10 years ago. Didn't sound like the way it does today, but it does have quite a good exhaust noise at the moment. So, as you can hear, this is brilliant, this sound. Alright, so maybe. So this year at Lathalmond, the wasps are quite an issue. There's a lot of wasps about this weekend. It was horrendous yesterday and it's just as bad today. So I've been to Lathalmond many times and I've never saw so many wasps. So it's certainly an issue. But anyway, besides that, the weather's great. It's been quite a good meeting so far. Quite a good event this weekend. We're going to do the bridge tour. We've got 17 on, and we've got a full load on this. We're one of 3 or 4 open toppers that are going to be doing it. So there's some downstairs and they've got a big queue. All the people there are waiting to do the 4th road bridge. So there's quite a few tour buses going on. So we've got 17 on just now. We've got room for another 58. Downstairs, 11 upstairs. Gives us another 33 seats upstairs left. Keep it comfortable when you're in. 43, 44. So it's parked upstairs and parked below deck. We've got about 72 people on board. It's a busy cruise.
We're bringing in a bit of the water.
The one with red tails.
noisy. It's good. It's a busy one.
Yeah, we bam you.
So we really enjoyed that. It was brilliant. Oh, see you later on. See you, Colin. So that was a busy bus. That was a very busy bus. There was still a lot of people still coming down from east there. It's good to see our old bus being used and working well under fully loaded conditions and popular as well. A lot of people want to come on and travel on it, especially on a day like this for the Oakland Top Tour. Well, it's still unloaded. As I say, it was a popular, busy one this.
We've got a few bottles of water tonight.
So that took a wee while for the bus to unload. It was, as I say, it was a full bus and it was handling really well. It kept going. So for a 45-year-old, 46-year-old bus, it's done remarkably well, because as I say, that was a fully loaded, virtually fully loaded, maybe a couple of seats short, but then of course you could probably get more if you had the standees included. But it was coping. I mean, these things are maximum at 16 and a quarter ton gross, and it weighs just 9.6 tons empty. So there's plenty of engine power in that and structurally all managed. So there was maybe a couple of times when it was going to the corner because of the extra weight. It was, I thought maybe like the mud flat would be scraping across the ground at certain, as it's tilting over going into the corner. Because these isn't air sacs, these are leaf springs, so there's no any self-levelling systems on these old buses. So it's just good old leaf springs that are supporting it. So.
Yeah.
It's a pity because I'd like it to be smoother.
So, it has been a busy bus this weekend. It did the same thing yesterday as well, the bridge tour, and it was fully loaded. In fact, there was so much so I couldn't even get on it. But then I made the mistake of leaving it too late, but not this time. But because I'm with the bus, I just basically got on and it was starting. So, and there's a wee in-cab view as well. I've covered this before on videos. So I've covered a lot of footage. I'll maybe even give you a wee bit of the underside as well. So I'll get you a bit of footage underneath if you want.
So what else do you have up there then? Oh, detail stuff, right? Yeah.
I'll show you underneath the engine as well at the front.
You said it saw sparks.
You see it shiny otherwise.
Oh yeah, it's
Is it shiny, is it?
I'll soon find out what. This is underneath the other side.
I haven't got nothing. No, I used to have that.
Because this thing was loaded quite a lot, and it's spring suspension, somebody upstairs thought they saw sparks. No, it might have been the tailpipe scraping the ground. Remember, the road surfaces isn't easy, there's uneven road surfaces as well. But that was a thing I remember in the late 80s, during the 80s, when these things were loaded up. You would sometimes get smoke coming off the wheels, off the tyres, up to the body, but touching the tyre at times. As I say, it's leaf spring suspension, there isn't any self-levelling systems on these, like the air slack suspensions, for example, especially the modern ones. Well, this is old school kart spring leaf springs, so. But they kept going, and it was a pretty common thing. It didn't do them any harm when they were loaded up fully like that. So they are a rugged machine. It doesn't really harm it. There is actually one of the wheel arch liners where you could see just the suspension, that there's clearance where you could see the leaf spring on the rear axle. So if I put the camera there, you might see it. It's not the easiest. I'll see if I zoom in. That's where it meets the chassis. That's the leaf spring mounts in. It's the same with the other side. So it's just basically leaf spring, kart spring type. And I was frightened in case it dropped thing. car miss it. I don't want to be doing that. That's the shock absorber, that thing there. Right, it's a drop centre hub reduction axle, double reduction. And that's to allow for a low floor version. There was only ever one low floor Elsa built, and the drop centre reduction axle was accommodated for that. So the Mark 1s and Mark 2s had that, the Mark 3s didn't. They replaced the Hamworthy drop centre reduction axle with a Volvo straight axle, because they weren't intending on building any low height Elsas. There was only ever one as an experiment, which is in preservation, and I know the guy who owns it. I've driven it. It's R120R, so RTO 120. RTO 120. I can't remember versed off the top of my head, but I done a video on it a couple of years ago. It's low height Volvo Elsa. I saw the guy. I just can't think of the reg right now off the top of my head, but there is only one ever built. All the rest of the Elsas were standard height, 14 foot 6, 14 foot 8. So it was either like a 120 RTO or something. I'd have to look back. As I say, right now I just can't remember. There's so much going on with other things on mine. But as I say, if you look back at the video, just type in low height Volvo Elsa Mark 1. I've done a 2 hour video on it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. So I mean, I've driven this bus. I've driven it yesterday actually on the way back. Partly anyway. I had a wee shot driving it. Driven it loads of times. I've even driven it on the bridge. Actually done to Caledonian Railway, Montrose Air Station to Caledonian Railway. That was a few years back, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 9. I drove this one on the shuttle service. Was it like for the bus museum sort of thing? Yeah, it was in conjunction with the Caledonian Railway. But I've driven it many times since that with the bus club, and I remember it very well in service when it was in service back in the 80s, 90s and that. Along with its other sister buses as well. So that's a bit about the Mark II. We've done very well that today. So. A long day. So I've been here this weekend, yesterday and today. So you just see what else now. Just record whatever random photos. Just like 10 to 4 now as well. So there's the other tour bus coming in. I think that was doing the Forth Road Bridge. It's a close-up view, is it? As it passes between me and the bus. Nice and precisionally driven there. I think that done the Forth Road Bridge tour. I'm sure it did. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Might have done an internal actually. Now what I think about it, probably did, because Ensure yesterday, when we were planning on doing the Forth Road Bridges, and we were too late and we missed it because that turned up and we said yes, we'll get a shot on the Forth Road Bridge, and then we were just told it was doing the internal. So I think that's probably what that is now, because the 2 buses that have been out of basically they're all back now. So yeah, that's definitely an internal. That would have been ideal for tour bus, the bridge tour, but that's just the internal service. I'm just not sure there was one like that anyway, but it was on yesterday. So another thing about the open topper Volvo Elsa Mark II, the engine in it says Volvo TD70E, which is capable, when tuned, capable of towing or pulling a 32-ton gross loaded lorry, 8-wheeler rigid, or 30 ton maybe. But then I heard that they could even do Arctics as well, which would be up to about at that time probably 36 tons. So the engine's got plenty of power, there's more power, torque in it. But its bus itself is just set for the, tuned and set for the maximum weight of 16 tonne, 16.25 tonne. That's what the double decker at that time was. Today the deckers are up to about 18 tonne. And if it's a tri-axle, it could be up to as much as 26 tonne, like your big megabus coaches and tri-axle double decks. But back in the day, when that, 1979, that open topper, the Mark II, I think it was rated at 16.25 tonne. And I think fully loaded articulated trucks back then would probably be something like 36 tonne. And I heard that the Volvo F7, F7 lorry, which shared the same engine, the Volvo TD70E engine. So you had two. You had the Volvo TD70H, which was in the Mark III Elsas. The Volvo TD70E was in the Mark 1 and Mark 2. The Mark 1 being differently rated, different turbocharger than that being an earlier. In the Mark 2 there was revisions made to that engine, but the engine block was the TD70E. So the engine's certainly capable of towing all that, pulling all that weight. So I'm just spending a wee bit of time in here. I'm just going to have a look at the gearboxes again, these Lathalmond boxes. I'll show you some. 4-speed inline gearbox, you've got your 4 sets of planetary gears. 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's the brake bands that will lock them in, so that will give you your gear ratio due to the epicyclic gear setup and effects and ratios that you get from it. It's 5-speed Lathalmond inline, so you get your 5 sets of gears, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, which are brake bands that lock on either the engage or disengage. So if they want the gear to, I'll do either or, to engage the gear ratio that's either done manually by a switch in the cab that the driver could use, or done electronically. And the force to lock the brake bands are either done pneumatically or hydraulically, but the actual mechanism inside the gearbox will be the same. It's just the actuators will work either hydraulically or pneumatically depending on the manufacturer, or it could be semi-automatic where it will use probably electro coils that will work on either pneumatic or hydraulic as well. All these hydraulic pipes are for to supply the torque converter with oil to give you your fluid coupling effect. It's either a fluid coupling or a torque converter. I think it's maybe just a plain fluid coupling on this, because a torque converter has a stator between both impeller and rotator. What is that? I don't really, I'm not 100% sure. Apparently this has an intarder or retarder, which basically slows the bus using a hydraulic drag force within the torque converter or fluid coupling. It's basically working in reverse, so it's a transmission brake in a way, and it gets the kinetic energy from the moving vehicle will be converted into heat using this method. So therefore this transmission has a built-in heat exchanger, and it's a water to oil, and that's a heat exchanger down there. That cools the oil, that gets filtered, and then the oil goes back into the transmission to A, lubricate the parts, and B, act as a medium for the actuators for the brake bands and the torque converter and the retarder. I'm not 100% sure how the retarder works on this specific one, but the principle of a hydraulic retarder is to reverse the flow or the shape of the impeller, or it does something anyway to cause the hydraulic effect to work in reverse. Instead of multiplying torque to help the engine turn the wheels, it does the opposite, and the hydraulic force is used to slow the vehicle. It does the reversal of it does the opposite of multiplying torque. It does it proportionally but decreases it, and it causes a hydraulic drag between the impeller and the rotator. As I say, that kinetic energy is therefore going to be converted into heat. It needs to go through the heat exchanger to dissipate that heat through the cooling system of the vehicle. It's a water to oil cooling system. So that'll go into the radiator at the front. There'll probably be extra cores on the radiator to accommodate the extra heat produced by the transmission, and you also get heat produced through the torque converter effect as well. And of course you get a build-up of heat through the brake bands, because it's friction against the drum to lock the gears, so that's producing heat. And you always get a small element of heat within the gears. They try and eliminate that as much as possible because they want it to rotate freely, but there's always an element of frictional drag in any mechanism, which will also produce heat. So all that heat builds up, needs to be taken out of the transmission, and it's done so using the oil medium. oil to water heat exchanger. The heat is then transferred into the water to the cooling system of the vehicle, the rest of the engine cooling system. Ultimately, that's just in a nutshell. That's my understanding of it anyway. So I'm not a mechanic, but I just use that from the knowledge that I've gained through my own interest in it, my own rate and my own time, because I am interested in them, and I like thinking about all these parts when they're when they're being transported around, all the engines and transmissions and that work. So this area where all these machinery parts, the bus parts, this basically engineering, it's machinery in a way. All this is housed in the top back corner of the exhibition hall here at Lathalmond. And that's the exhibition, that's the bit where the transmissions are. It's right at the top back of the exhibition hall. So you come in there and turn right as far back and turn right, you can't miss it. It's in there, it's where the police car is, the Mark II Escort. I was in here earlier, you'll probably remember that, I've seen that in the video. So I'm just going to spend a bit of time having a look at that as well. Quite like feasting my eyes on engineering things and learning how they work, more about how they work, build my knowledge on them. So that's the input end from the engine, from the flywheel at the engine, and then it comes out with the transmission from the output shaft, which will be a propeller or a prop shaft that goes right the way to the back of the vehicle, where it meets the differential on the rear axle to drive the rear wheels of the vehicle. In this case it will be a bus. And like I said earlier, the oil in that needs to be filtered in order to be kept clean. That's to make sure that the transmission doesn't wear out prematurely. Any metal fragments due to natural wearage, it gets washed through the oil. Well, it goes into the oil and there's a magnet sometimes at the bottom of the transmission to pick up on these metal filings from the just natural wear and tear. So the metal filings isn't going round and causing a problem with the oil. The oil is basically filtered. Any metal fragments through natural wear is collected on a magnet at the bottom of the gearbox housing. That just makes sure that the oil doesn't have anything in it when it's to go circulated round there. It keeps the oil nice and cool and clean, well, cool with the heat exchanger, clean with the filter, metal free with the magnet at the bottom, because the oil is crucial in all these machinery parts. There's a lot of torque in there and a lot of movement. It's precisionally engineered. This one's obviously for display, it's got a surface rust on it and all that, it's been painted, but if it was back in use, this would be shiny and coated with oil, it would be oil filled. And tucked away down at the back of the transmission towards the output shaft, that'll be the whirring gear for the speedometer. And this gear here will be an inductor or something that'll pick, it'll be like this sensor will pick or count the number of times the teeth goes past there. I think that might be what that is, an inductor ring or something. It's a sensor of some sort. It uses this as a means to sensor maybe the direction or something, or the speed. The speed will be done through the speedometer. This, I'm not quite sure, that might be a directional sensor or I don't know, but it's a sensor of some sort, and it'll count the number of times there'll be something there, maybe a magnet on one of them or something. I don't know exactly, but it looks like an electrical sensor of some sort. It almost reminds me of what a parking pole would be, like a parking brake, but it's certainly not a parking brake. There's no way that would be substantial to stop a bus. But as I say, it's some sort of sensor, and as they go past it, it sends the pulse through the wire and the electronics. It won't be like your microprocessors or anything like that. Like today, it won't be like that. It'll just be a sort of 1980s kind of module circuit. It'll not be like your, there won't be diagnostic stuff or anything like that in the vehicles that these transmissions come out with, like the stuff you'll get today. There won't be that on them. That will just be your basic electronics, 1970s and 80s stuff sort of thing. Microchips and transistors and stuff like that, rather than, you know, these super deluxe complex microprocessors that you get nowadays, which are basically just computers. Well, there wasn't any of that back then. It was just more sort of like probably on a par with your pocket calculator kind of electronic, your Casio wristwatch, that kind of, on a par with that. I'd reckon that would be the sort of, because these kind of things were around in the 70s, you know, your wristwatches and pocket calculators, they had electronics in them to a degree, transistors, so that'll be the sort of level of electronics that these transmissions here will be working with, in conjunction with, you know, for the gear changes and how long to hold the gears for, etc. Load sensors and all that, speed and directional sensors, and there will be an electronic circuit board to control it all. But today's stuff is all computers, and you need a blooming degree in computing and a big fancy laptop to, you know, diagnostic tests and all that kind of stuff of today. But you won't get that on these transmissions. It's well before that. So there's gears on the inner edge of the drum as well, so that engages with these planet gears. You've got like a sun gear down there, and planet gears, and a brake drum which has got gears that engage with the planetary gears, and you get different various gear ratios by locking and unlocking these gear sets. This being a 5-speed box, it's got 5 sets of gears. 1, 2, 3, 4, no sorry, start again. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 sets of gear ratios. For reverse, there'll be a way of locking and unlocking. There'll be a sort of combination to get reverse, so it'll lock one and unlock another, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it's done, but it is done through getting a combination of locking and unlocking the planetary sets. It might even be a planetary set further in that acts as your reverse gear, and it'll be a similar ratio to first gear. But there isn't any, like on a manual, you get a pinion gear that goes in to give you a third gear, which just automatically reverses through the natural gearage. You stick a gear in between 2 gears, it will go in the opposite way just naturally. Well, on the planetary gears, there's a means of locking and unlocking a set of gears to get the reverse, because they're constant. They're constantly engaged, these gears, constant mesh gears, but the reverse is achieved by a combination of some sort. The ratios are achieved through the planetary gear sets by unlocking or locking the gear sets, and that's done with the clutch packs and brake bands. That's a clutch pack, that's a brake band. That's my understanding anyway. Clutch pack, it's just a similar thing, squeezes together under hydraulic pressure, locking the gear ratio and locking the gear, the outer gear, which causes the inner ones to spin automatically to give you your forward or direction, forward or reverse, or different gear ratios. Brake band, which locks against the brake drum, that's your drum, gear set drum. That just friction against there to lock it or unlock it. Same job, but just in a different arrangement. Again, hydraulically actuated. There'll be hydraulic pressure, or it could be pneumatic. But there will be hydraulics in there, obviously, for the lubricant, and there'll be wet clutches because it'll be all submersed in oil. And obviously, it's still got to have an element of friction in it when there's oil. So they're designed to work as a frictional element, even though it's immersed with oil. It's probably what the lines are for the oil to go down. But yet, it still locks the gear through friction, because oil is a natural lubricant in these cases. But obviously they want to be lubricating the brake bands, so the brake bands have got to work, they're designed to work under those conditions. So, like I say, don't quote me on that, that's just my understanding of how they work. I'm not a mechanic, so I don't know. I'm just telling you what I think. That's just what I reckon, that's it. Don't quote me and not claiming to say that's how it works, but that's just my understanding of it, basic understanding of it. So a mechanic would know obviously a great deal in depth. I don't know all the facts and figures, all the settings and torque settings and all the gear ratio. You'd count the number of teeth to get the gear ratios and stuff, but as I say, I'm not a mechanic, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how it works. This is my basic broad understanding of how it works broadly, in broad terms. That's the air intake inlet manifold, and that's the outlet manifold, exhaust manifold. No turbocharger on this, and it's a non-crossflow engine because the air goes in one side and the exhaust gases come out the same side. Non-crossflow, non-turbocharged engine are naturally, or also known as a naturally aspirated engine. It doesn't have a turbocharger, unlike the modern buses that have turbochargers and intercoolers. The open top TD70E engine was turbocharged on the bus, the open top bus 300 WTS 272T, originally fleet number 272, but then changed to fleet number 300 when it was converted to an open top bus in the early 80s. Brand new to Tayside in 1979, converted to an open top bus round about 84 perhaps, thereabouts. This is the rear axle. That's your final drive and differential gearbox. That's a crown gear. That's your thick gears, heavy gears, because that's where your final drive is. And eventually turns the wheel hub the half shafts. Half shafts on each side of the differential. That's the wheel hub, your brake drums. Actually, this is a double reduction axle. You've got a reduction gear there, and you've got there's a hub reduction axle as well. So there's a set of planetary gears also in there, just as a basically means you could have a smaller centre differential. It doesn't have to be quite as big as if it was doing all the reduction itself. It'd probably be a bit more bigger and a bit sturdier, but because it's getting split between the hubs, it takes a bit of pressure off the centre diff, and it also means you can have a lower profile axle as well, because it doesn't have to be so big. You know, if it was just a single reduction axle, then that would be doing all the reduction for the gears, and it would need to be quite a beefy, heavy like setup. But this is to have a smoother flow line perhaps, and it splits the final reduction gearing through that and the hubs. So that's closed hub, that's just illustrated. They've cut that one so you can see inside it. That gives you your final drive gear ratio. So you could get your tyre sizes and for the manufacturer, and reduces the speed accordingly to get your performance and that. Gear ratios on gearbox, and you've got a final fixed gear ratio on your rear axle, which is your final drive. Also does the 45 degree split. Drive comes in this side, it's got to turn it rotationally, going to that way. So it's turning, going in through a prop shaft, and it's got to split the drive 90 degrees through bevel gears. Also, being a differential means that wheel can spin faster than that wheel when it's cornering. Differentiates the speed, hence the name differential. The differential allows for that. So that's my understanding of that axle. It's a differential gearbox showing the inside, and I believe it's a hub reduction as well. Double reduction axle. Well, on the Volvo also open topper, it's drop centre double reduction hub axle. So it's the centre's dropped as well, and it's got transfer gears to transfer the drive up to the hub level, because the centre's dropped. That's to accommodate a low floor height Volvo. So there was only one experimental one made, and they chose not to make any more after that. They just made them standard height. From there on then they were all standard height. In the Mark III they didn't even consider doing a low height because they dropped the axle altogether. They deleted the axle from the the Ailsa altogether, and Volvo, they brought in their own Volvo straight axle, which means it would be impossible to have a low height Volvo Ailsa. So right from the start, the Mark 1 was done in 1976 or 1977, the experimental low height. They'd done one and that was it, no more after that. And they just kept the axle going through the Mark 2 series as well. They maybe upgraded the Mark 2 Hamworthy rear axle just to revise it a bit, being a Mark 2. But then they just deleted the whole, because when they done the Mark 3 Volvo Ailsa chassis, they redesigned the chassis quite extensively. So they were able to re-engineer the whole thing so they could accommodate a Volvo straight axle. So Volvo straight axle meaning it's a straight single height, single reduction axle. It's got the big differential gearbox, which the floor's got to be cut away and there's to be a cover to allow the differential gearbox clearance during the suspension movement. When the axle, when the wheels go over the bump, the axle goes up. It's got to have clearance, otherwise it would burst through the floor. So the drop centre reduction arm with the rear axle doesn't have a protrusion in the passenger compartment because it's drop centre. Gives you a nice floor line. So, going to round off the video because it's just about time to get heading. So that's nice. Right, I'm going to round it off, it'll be just way too long. So, hope you enjoyed the video. See what else I put on my channel, and thanks for watching all of it. It's going to be a long, it's going to be one part because I've got a lot of trips to do next week down south to Cornwall, which will be done in a separate video. But I'll just make this one part, it's easier for me to edit. Time restricted. So, it's building up the air pressure and then just going to get my way on there. Just going to move further down, there's something to do there. So, right, I hope you enjoyed the video. See what else I put on my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.